Okay, let's go to the next game. We're going to go Cure Bowl. The Cure Bowl, Northern Illinois and Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers. We've
I
talked
love
about
this.
them before.
Yeah.
We've got the Chants minus 11, total 62 and a half. Is that what you're
Oof.
showing me as a current line here?
63 and a half and touching 64 in a couple places currently.
So we're moving up a little bit.
We're moving
Okay.
on up.
We've talked about Northern Illinois a bunch. They seem to pop up whenever there's the highest total of the week. And as we see, this one's starting to creep up there a little bit with
Yes.
Northern Illinois. The surprise for them, we just talked about them the last time we did a college show. They end up winning the MAC championship. Dave, how about their effort?
That was pretty impressive.
Very impressive against Kent State. Actually held Kent State in check. It was the highest total of the week that went under. Of course it does, because
Yes.
it always does.
Yes.
They held Kent State to just 23 points in that game, but they did give up 200 on the ground. And here's why I bring that up, because I think that's where the critical matchup is in this one. Northern Illinois can't stop you on the ground.
Isn't that what Coastal does?
Oh, very good, Dave. They run it. 5th nationally in rushing yards per
Yeah.
game. Now, they can also throw it a little bit too. They're going to spread you out, and they can run out of the spread, and they have a controlled passing game that they can throw it around a little bit too, 260 a game through the air, but they want to run it.
Coastal was one of those games where we did highest total of the week, and we said, I think, bet the Coastal total over, but the game under, and they ran it up. They run this fast break offense, right?
You're
They're
right
constantly
on, yes.
running fast. This rate thing that you were talking about, I'm sure when we talked about it, something I remember. I don't remember what it was called, but you're the analytical guy.
Pace of play you're talking about.
Yeah,
Pace of play.
they run it like I remember thinking, geez, it sounds like a basketball team. They're constantly getting possessions and running them to try to get another possession. They're very quick at what they do.
Yeah, 76 plays per game over their last 3, so they're running some more plays here.
Ooh.
So yeah, they're going to run it. Listen, only 10 teams in the country gave up more rushing yards per game than Northern Illinois did. Now, they held Kent somewhat in check, gave up 196 on the ground, which is just a tad better than what they normally give up. This, to me, I mean, you know me, I'm going to come on here and just take all the chalk. You're just going to be chucking chalk at me through the whole show. But Dave, I like Coastal again here. Although, I mean, am I crazy taking an 11 with Coastal Carolina here?
I don't think so. I don't. I think. Listen, some of these bowl games, this is what happens. The matchups just don't work out for the underdog. Other times, not that the underdog sneaks up on them, because you know who you're playing for weeks in these matchups. But they are changing something up. Northern Illinois can't change who they are or what they do for Coastal. Like, they give up a lot of rushing yards. You're not going to come up with something different to change that. This feels like another blowout. I don't know. Maybe that's going to be the theme of Saturday. I've seen those things run like that. They just ran like that in the NFL on Sunday. I mean, all the favorites except 2 covered. So that's sometimes the way this happens. We used to say that all the time. Like, if you blindly bet all the dogs on the money line in college football, you will likely win money. But your percentage of bowl games, how many bowl games are there, B-How? 42?
I think that's right. I think there's 42, I think,
or 43. Somewhere.
Ish.
Yeah. You may win 12 of them. Like, you may win 15 of them. I mean, you're going to go 15 and 18 or 15. No, that's 15 and 28. Ooh, that's a lot of losses. I mean, but you win. If you blindly take all the points, I think the same thing. But if you selectively go back and forth, you're probably going to be all over the place. There's going to be favorites that win and cover 10, 11-point spreads. I think Coastal's another one of them.
Well, and this is real quick. Should have done it on the first game. This is the definition of your tagline. Nobody knows. What do you say?
Nobody knows shit.
Yeah,
nobody knows shit at all.
Bowl season is the ultimate. Nobody knows.
Oh, well, like,
because you're trying to handicap motivation. You're trying to handicap who's in. We're going to get to teams here with no coaches. So this is crazy. So I get it. So you got to tread lightly.
You've been to these bowl games with, staffs that have been either depleted or guys leaving or kids, being suspended for different reasons. Like, there's a lot going on internally just to get the team there, right? and like
Well,
get
let me give you.
everybody
I'm gonna.
situated?
I'm gonna give you two quick stories, and we'll move back to the games because I
Yeah,
think this is relevant to the nobody knows squadoosh.
right.
Is that how you say it? Squadoosh? Is that? I'm
Squadoosh,
trying to
yeah,
be
you could
PG.
say.
Okay.
You
So
can, yeah.
two different times in my career, I spent over 20 years as a Division I athletic administrator at three different schools. I spent 15 of those at West Virginia University. In Don Nehlen's final year as head coach at West Virginia, Don Nehlen, Hall of Fame coach,
Yes.
he was retiring. It was already announced. The new coach coming in was Rich Rodriguez. He had already been announced, was on site, and had already begun working, which is commonplace now, wasn't so common back then in the day, early 2000s, literally the year 2000.
Right.
West Virginia playing in the Music City Bowl against Ole Miss and Eli Manning and Deuce McAllister. That was a
Oh,
good Ole Miss team. Now Eli didn't start, but he came in and man, he was bringing it late. If that game goes another 5 minutes, West Virginia's in trouble. But heading into that bowl game, it was a weird, awkward environment. The assistants were on their way out. The assistants, most of them had been there 20 years with Coach Nehlen. It was a
oh,
weird funeral-esque type environment. West Virginia had struggled to win bowl games, had not been good. It was a really weird, bizarre situation. West Virginia goes out and wins a bowl game. They had struggled under Coach Nehlen. They beat Ole Miss. They handled it. It was a stunner. One of the most stunning games I've been a part of because I didn't bet at the time working in athletics.
right.
I would have put everything I owned on Ole Miss. Everything I had, everything you had, everything Newbie had on Ole Miss, and West Virginia wins. Second scenario, 2007, West Virginia loses in a monumental upset to Pitt to keep the Mountaineers
Oh
out of
man.
the national
They
championship
were
game.
30-point favorites, by the way, that game.
Thank you. Thank you.
They were
Appreciate that.
just
Thank you for
I'm
throwing that
not
little side note. Thank you.
people that listen, I'm not trying to bring it up. I was in the book with people that had West Virginia futures,
Sure.
like at a
Sure.
big number. We all had a piece of it. Like that loss was. Go ahead, continue.
Okay. So bad loss, monumental loss, horrible loss, chaos ensues. Rich Rodriguez, again, another central figure. Had you on the brink of a national title, had it rolling with Pat White, Steve Slayton, Noel Devine, Owen Schmidt, one of the best teams in college football
Oh,
history. Fun game. You played video games back then. You took West Virginia constantly. They were
yes,
fun to play.
yes.
Rich leaves for Michigan just after blowing the game to get into the national championship. You're headed to the Fiesta Bowl as your consolation prize. Oh, by the way, you're getting Oklahoma with Sam Bradford, who might have been the best team in college football that year. They
Yeah,
were loaded. So you're headed out to the desert with no coach. He just left. The native son has left West Virginia. It was angsty. The team meeting when he left was angsty. There were lawsuits that were coming. I mean, it was an absolute mess. Couldn't have been more of a mess as you get ready to head to the Fiesta Bowl, get that number one Oklahoma team led by Sam Bradford. So you arrive in Arizona. Similar thing to what we just talked about in the bowl game with Don Nehlen.
who's
It was
coaching the game?
a gentleman by the name of Bill Stewart was
Oh, I
promoted to
remember him.
interim.
Great voice.
You know why you remember him? Because he delivered what has turned into one of the all-time great pregame locker room speeches. I mean, literally an all-timer. If you're
Oh,
listening and haven't heard it, head to YouTube,
you're
search
right.
Bill Stewart, Leave No Doubt. It's still played in the stadium today. A wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man and an awesome interim coach ends up getting the job. West Virginia goes out, steamrolls Oklahoma. Pat White was a star. Noel Devine, Owen Schmidt, all these guys, and won a bowl game. The two games you had no shot in. No
Right,
shot. And
right.
after that Fiesta Bowl, I remember Owen Schmidt, the fullback, who you probably remember for hitting his head with the helmet and blood coming
Blood.
down.
Yeah.
In his post-game interview with Fox, he started by holding up a graphic. They had made a graphic that the 98% of the country was on Oklahoma in that game, and he
Right.
held it up. So anyway, whole point being, nobody knows squadoosh. We
Oh,
may be wrong on 100 of these games, so just tread lightly. Motivation is hard to handicap. Just because you lost a coach doesn't mean you can't win. Just because you didn't lose a coach doesn't mean you can't lose. Chaos in the bowl seasons
I remember
is
that
the
one in
point to
the
all those
book.
long-winded stories.
We made a lot of money. We made a lot of money on that West Virginia game in the book because everybody bet Oklahoma. Everybody. And I remember the speech. I'm gonna have to after the show. I'm actually gonna Google it and watch the speech too because I remember the voice and I remember going, I run through a wall for this guy right now.
Yeah. Leave no doubt tonight. I mean, it's an awesome one. I go back about every 3 weeks and just pop it on. Looking for a good show, I pop the Leave No Doubt on. It's a great
Well, let's
one.
leave.
All right.
Let's
Did
leave
we
no
even talk
doubt with
about
this next
Coastal?
game.
Yeah, what are we done with Coastal Carolina? I'm telling stories I can't forget. Why are we
Coastal.
here? What are we doing?
Coastal and over. Coastal and over.
Okay.
Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, click on another video right here on the screen. And if you really liked it, consider subscribing below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.